Okay.
Hello, heroes! With me today is...
Hi, I'm Tanner.
Who is a...
Human being.
I'm a musician.
Oh, yes, a musician of sorts.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. This is wonderful.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hey, awesome.
So, I brought Tanner on because I wanted to talk about... First of all, because he's really good at analyzing things. And I want to analyze things. So, I thought you could... Yeah. So, anyway.
Well, I mean, that's why I have the big glasses, to make myself look
Yes.
intelligent, because appearances are important.
Yes.
But they're not everything.
Deep. So today we are discussing Christian media specifically. Christian music, filmmaking, I guess books, Christian media in general.
Pretty much anything that reaches the public eye more so than just, I guess, in their specific culture groups.
Yeah. Something kind of media, there whether it be movies, songs, or books or whatever that labels itself Christian.
Yeah.
Christian. So, first let's just get an overarching, what is your thought about Christian media in general, whatever the first thing comes into your head?
I guess I can only speak from the perspective of minister's kid. My dad was a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And so we grew up with a lot of, like, back in the day when VHS tapes were a thing. They were this big, clunky black things that you put into this device called a VCR, or a video cassette recorder.
Those were the days.
For any of you tech nerds that are hipsters. But we watched things like from Focus on the Family, like if you ever heard of Adventures in Odyssey.
Yes.
Yes, that one. Way back in the day. And McGee and Me, if you ever watched any of those. Yeah, see. And I remember actually watching a couple of those. I watched them when I was maybe like 5 through 8. And then I watched them when I was 19 years old. And I was like, wow. This is the corniest TV writing I've ever seen. But, comparatively speaking, from like back in the day when you can only get them at, say, places like Mardell's or Christian bookstores or anything like that, you didn't really find them in places like Hastings or Blockbuster, any movies or and the only kind of things that you would find as anything that you would find of like Christian music, they would be in their own little corner section that was maybe about this big in record stores or in places like, if you ever heard of Hastings, which is like a multimedia store, books, DVDs, what have you. And these days, like with things, like with these big movies coming out, like Risen was a big one, War Room, what were some?
There's Heaven is for Real.
Heaven is for Real, yeah, that was and I remember my dad and I rented the DVD of Risen, and at the beginning, I can't remember what the company was that.
I don't recall. I didn't
I think
see
it
that
was
one,
like
but I don't know what it
Uplift.
was.
No. Anyway, it's a company that specifically made like any of these, I guess you would call them token Christian movies.
Kind of like a studio like Sony or whatever that has its own little Christian section.
Yeah, and actually the funny thing is that this company, which made War Room and Risen and all the other ones, kind of, I guess.
Was it Pureflix? Well, that's just a production company.
I'm not too sure, but it was owned by Sony, which we thought was really interesting because Sony...
Firm Films.
Firm Films, that's it. Firm Films. It's owned by Sony, which I thought was kind of interesting because Firm Films is like strictly faith-based. It seemed anyway.
Yeah.
And to know that Sony, big conglomerate like Sony, owned them, I was kind of like, whoa, what a break.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the point right there, is that it seems that there was a mold that Christianity kind of was boxed in back in the day, which was, if you wanted Christian stuff, you only went to a Christian store.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go to like any kind of secular place to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, these days, what with all these big Christian movies that aren't like, you know, any of the corny ones from back in the 90s that I was subjected to,
Mm-hmm.
but these are movies that are in theaters. They're reaching millions of people. They're like I want to say that Heaven is for Real was up for an award.
I don't know. It was huge. It was everywhere. That's all I know.
It was
Everywhere I walked.
huge. And I mean, and a lot of these documentaries, like God's Not Dead and God's Not Dead 2, coming out of the woodwork, and
those were pretty big.
and I was like, wow, this is a huge turn. And I was thinking, such tremendous strides have been made to, I think, for the Christian community to adapt to the world that we are in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, hey, that just shows right there that a medium that has faith within the foundation is capable of being just as creative as a secular world.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's all it's getting bigger and bigger, I feel like. I don't feel like it's plateauing. I feel like it actually is climbing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is interesting. Nice quality.
I mean, you know, God has that really wonderful feature of his personality, which, you know, since he made us all beings of learning and creativity, it doesn't really, you know, stop. We do get into seasons where we're just kind of like we kind of stall, but new things happen all the time, and I always thought that was one really cool thing about.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I have a few questions. But first, I have 2 challenges.
It's healthy. I'm not plugging it or anything, but it's healthy. Anyway.
Sponsored. Just kidding. It's not sponsored.
Anyway.
All right. Here's your 2 challenges. Okay.
2 challenges.
Since you are a musician, your first challenge is improvise a typical Christian song on your guitar.
Improvise. Okay. Well, normally, what a lot of what you hear all the time is just pick a standard chord, like you got to see right there, and just make it sound pretty. So we'll just do it like this. See? And in an acoustic setting, it kind of goes like this. See that? Heavenly love shining, heavenly love shining now. Never on my own, never on my own.
First of all, that was way too good to be out.
Well, I mean, it's stereotypical Christian
But
song.
still.
See, because
the best cheesy song that you could manage because you're just too good.
I mean, well, the best cheesiest song. I guess get into like a swing version of Jesus Loves Me, which is like
Rock it.
Jesus loves me, this I know. For
Still too good.
the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong.
Yay.
As corny as, well, see, like, because when it comes to like any kind of Christian song, like usually you'll hear this droning in the distance, which is like. Spirit is moving.
Right.
So yeah. Whenever, not saying it's bad, because actually in the kind of music that we played in contemporary settings,
Yeah.
you have a lot of what is called reverb, little reverb pedals, making like a sound like this travel on for as long as like 15 seconds without even, and like say it's kind of like if any of y'all who are watching right now have ever been overseas or in a big church, lots of space, and you do something like this, and you can just hear it echo, reverb. They have that going, and then you got delay, which is like a whole bunch of like stuff like that, all on top, and it's just that kind of sound that I guess they can call it one of those very big meditative sounds, but in the kind of music that I was playing back in Abilene, we called it shoegaze. Why? Because if you're into it, you're looking like this, looking like you're staring at your shoes. So, but yeah, that's the stereotypical thing.
Good talk. Your second challenge is improvise a typical mainstream song.
Well, for that I need like a drum machine and a Justin Bieber voice.
My voice has been
drums.
cracking.
Oh, let's see. What do you do?
By the way, that's Alexis commenting off to the side. Your
yes.
roommate. In case you wondered what those.
I exist. Wait a second. I'm just really afraid to stub my toe again. I had like a disaster earlier.
Yeah, it was, but she stuck the landing. It was great.
Stuck it.
So,
I worked
no
through
worries.
it.
Okay.
I didn't lose a toe. Almost did, but didn't.
Okay. Stereotypical mainstream song. It's weird because I don't listen to that much mainstream.
Yeah. Think about pop. Think about like.
Oh, pop. It's gonna sound like something from the '60s.
Well, that's where a lot of it's sounding like anyways. There's a lot of
I
influx of
guess.
that.
Let's see.
He's too hipster to listen to pop.
No, it's just because the radio happens to play songs 50 times in an hour, and I, for one, get a headache off of that much repetition. So.
Yes.
Okay. Mainstream thing. Okay. Focus.
Don't stare at him, Hope. Don't
Don't stare at me. I can only perform better if no one's watching.
Story of my life.
I mean, okay, this is gonna sound like a total Beatles riff.
Okay.
Rip. But actually, it's gonna sound like a total Beatles riff. But here we go. If any of y'all are Beatles fans, you know exactly what I'm playing. So don't hate me. Dear Prudence, won't you come out to play? Dear Prudence, greet the brand new day. The sun is up, the sky is blue, it's beautiful, and so are you, dear Prudence. Won't you come out to play?
That was also too good to be a typical mainstream song.
Well,
You know,
that was a
everybody
Beatles
that's watching
cover.
this video is gonna be like, "Where's his channel? Link me to his channel."
Oh, and I'm gonna be like, I don't have the ego for that. Maybe, but That I can probably point you to at least 50 that can blow anybody out of the musical water. So let me tell you. And I'm the one that watches them, and I'm just kind of like, I'm just gonna take up basket weaving.
I'm gonna, what am I gonna do? I can't even.
Oh, wait.
I'm gonna put aglets on shoelaces.
Yeah.
Do you know what aglets are?
Fun fact: aglets are little plastic things at the end of your shoelaces.
He knows! He knows!
How did I find that out? Watching Sweet Life of Zack and Cody on the Disney Channel.
I found out Phineas and Ferb on Disney Channel, so we got
I didn't watch the Disney Channel.
Disney Channel.
Disney Channel.
Disney Channel is the only one that knows what an aglet is.
Oh. Disney is not.
Technical difficulties, part 2.
I just need to get a recording of that, and we might just overplay it every time we have a technical difficulty.
Final question.
Yes.
What practical steps do you think? And I said, what practical steps do you think they need to take to improve? And I meant both mainstream movies and or Christian movies. We discussed some of the issues with both of them. So.
Yeah, because I mean, as far as we're already seeing a cultural shift, I think, when it comes to Christian media, where it used to be just exclusive to Christian families.
Yeah.
Where, like we already touched on, you can only get them in certain places, like Christian bookstores.
Or they would only be like shown in a church or something.
Yeah, or if they showed them at church, you know. And and we talked earlier about Risen being like one of the best movies since Passion. And actually, I think Passion of the Christ was a huge game changer, I think, as far as when Christian movies hitting the mainstream, because not only was it directed by a mainstream actor, Mel Gibson, but also it was something that was shown in proper theaters. And at first, I was just a teenager at the time, so I was thinking, oh, this is gonna happen again. And then you start seeing things like Courageous pop up. You start seeing War Room. You start seeing all these different kind of like little indie Christian movies start popping up, and they start making a very big profit too. And I think why that is because Christian movies kind of have that. They kind of have that spirit about them that, believe it or not, something will kind of ring true with you. It's like, have y'all ever been to like a church service and something has just been bogging you down? You go to church and whatever the pastor's talking about that particular day touches on the exact thing. See, it's kind of like one of those things when people seriously make a film that the foundation is of faith, then and you let that be the vehicle of your art, then you'll start writing in a way that will touch on multiple different things. Even though there's like one central theme, there's always going to be some little tidbit that will just stick with you.
Yeah.
Like flypaper on your face.
Yeah. Even when the
that cannot go unnoticed.
You're gonna have that mental image.
Just be like,
When
That's what waxing sheets are. I'm done. Never mind. It wasn't really worth mentioning, and we continue on.
anyway.
When I'll see these Christian movies, and that I actually will be very critical of from an artistic standpoint.
Yeah.
But then I'll actually be like, what do you think of this movie? And I'm like, I guess I thought it was really bad, but I actually enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was really lame, but I actually enjoyed it. So I don't really necessarily know that you will. It's that kind of thing that I find myself saying a lot. And I think the reason is maybe technically is in acting and story structure and stuff, they have some flaws, but then they will, if the person was really trying to make it accurate and tell and truthful as far as their own experience or just spiritual things, I think that can come through. So
and I think we already talked about that. That's all part of authenticity and integrity.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Because when it comes like as far as Christian movies moving forward into the mainstream, or how the mainstream movies can be affected by this, is that like going back when we were talking about the heavy usage of CGI, where it's getting to the point to where it's feeling like it's so overused sometimes, when it's like all movies just like hinge on computers. And when it comes to milking everything that it's got, if you don't have that much, making an indie film, things like that. If you see a movie that kind of moves you in a way that is just kind of like, wow, that was a really good film. It kind of makes you think, wow, the people that put this movie together kind of went to the trenches on this one.
Amen.
Because going back and forth, doing constant revisions of the script, taking multiple takes, trying to get this one spot done. Like, and in Prince of Egypt, for example.
Oh, I love that movie.
Val Kilmer, who did the voice of Moses. I was watching some special features, actually, when talking with the director and the animator when they were working with Val. He would always, he wouldn't just be hanging out like some actors would or anything. He would, they'd be watching the footage, and he would just sit there staring at hours and hours and hours worth of footage and take multiple takes before they can get his voice down, because he wanted it to be amazing. He wanted the product to be amazing. And that's the kind of thing, and that's why if everyone looks back and watches The Prince of Egypt or remembers it, everyone's like, oh, such a good movie. Well, now you know why. Because a lot of people, especially the animators, that kind of animation style, you don't see that anymore. Because a lot of people are using CGI animation now, kind of like if you were watching any of your favorite cartoons these days. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but they're using computer animation. Which is essentially magic draw board on a MacBook. Where it's not back in those days when you had 27 different pencils, 3,000 sheets of paper, and you just went to town. And but that's what it means to milk it for all it's got. If you pour every single ounce of yourself with passion into it, and you take more of the hard ways rather than the easy ones, then your integrity will just bleed through everything. And that's what's important. And it's kind of like, and if anyone is a big fan of old blues records from like the 1940s, where it was just one guy playing an out of tune guitar, and their capos were not like the big clamp ones that you see these days. It was a pencil and a rubber band. Playing stuff like that, completely out of time, voice cracking, but everyone loves them to death. And like blues music spawned what we know today as rock music and everything like that. Now you know why. You had to milk things for all that they were worth, even if you didn't have much. So
that's true.
So I think in a way, as far as how Christian movies can move forward, still maintain that same level of creativity, where, as we hear all the time, less is more.
That's true.
Because the more options you have, I think it probably goes like this. Maybe not for everybody, but the more you have, the less likely you're going to want to take multiple creative directions. Whereas the less you have, the more freedom that you have to come up with things that you never thought of before.
Limitations inspire creativity.
It's just kind of like, in a way, there's no such thing as limitations after that. It's the only limitations you have are at face value in their physicalness, but that's when your stream of consciousness, your mind's eye, for all you Shakespeare buffs out there, that's when that comes into play. So
that was really cool. Well, thank you so much for being on our channel.
Well, thank you very much for. I hope this doesn't slap you in the face. I'm sorry. It's like, hey, stop touching Tanner.
That's a different kind of technical.
Jealous guitar.
That wouldn't be technical difficulty. That would be like, what is it? Just like the hold on a second, something's going on, let's take care of it.
Pictures in the emergency room.
This is like, we're suffering some major difficulties, like all across the
Medical
board.
difficulties.
So all across the board, we're gonna have to cancel this today.
So how I always sign out on my channel is, I don't know, my hashtag thing. Do you know it? Like
this.
Hashtag.
But it goes. But when we're doing. But my
You're
hashtag
doing
that
hashtag. Do I do my hashtags weird? Oh my gosh, I do my hashtags weird. I mean, go ahead.
Wait a minute.
Hashtag fear.
I wasn't even supposed to
all
be
throughout,
here.
Like, my Facebook and get out of my leave.
Hey, did y'all notice the ghost that was sitting right next to us?
Oh my gosh,
Man.
I am darker than both of you. Oh my word.
Well, I wasn't gonna go.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yes. On all my social media, I do hashtag We Are Epic Heroes.
We are epic heroes.
And so then on my channel, I always just say We Are Epic Heroes. This is a book.
Okay, epic heroes.
Heroes. So.
Wait, so how again?
We are epic heroes.
Oh.
And then we should do the same one though. So let's.
Oh, so this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So lefty. Let me put this over here so I don't
Because we're all creative.
hit myself in the face.
Let's beyond technical.
Okay.
Ready?
So nervous doing something amazing such as this. I'm so nervous. Jittery. Get the shivers out. Grandma always said, "Get the shivers out." Okay.
1, 2, 3. We are epic heroes. Bye, guys. Bye. That was so weird. Bye. Okay.
That was nice.
Success.
Anyway,
So weird.
professionals.
I'm still like, you could just, if you would have a YouTube channel, you could just put up a camera, make a silly little song, and upload it, and everybody would love it.
You ever heard of haiku songs?
I know about
Okay.
haikus, but haiku songs.
Okay, Tom Wilson. If anyone is a fan of Back to the Future, Tom Wilson is the guy who did Biff.
Uh-huh.
Oh
the
my
big boy
gosh.
Biff, okay?
Okay.
Tom Wilson. And he had a stand-up called Bigger Than You, and he plays guitar, and he does a stand-up, and he has these things called haiku songs. And they are the most hysterical thing. I think it's like, I think I remember one. It's strange that a dog will eat a dead bird, but will never eat a grape.
So good. It's so good.
And now I'm gonna have to look this up.
You know, and actually, fun fact: grapes are actually really, really bad for dogs. I thought that was strange that it'll eat like dead things, but they'll never eat grapes. I was like, so you do something
good
completely
smart dog.
revolting, but not something healthy. But then come to find out, grapes are actually
There's
really
those
bad.
things like it will eat chocolate, but it shouldn't.
Yeah, see, it will eat chocolate, but
Not that
chocolate
smart.
is very deadly to dogs.
So. Okay. Alexis, is it recording? Help.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
That'll be
That'll be there.
yes, and you want to check it in little span, probably like in 5 minutes. That would be awesome.
We should have a little cartoon thing.
Technicalities, difficulties, part 2.
And just go 3.
I like literally like why
By the time you get to 10,
Yeah.
this is really like
10 difficulties. It's like,
I need to get a new
why can't you learn how to work a camera?